Good morning, everyone. I'd like to get started. Want to get our folks in position here and respect your time. I appreciate this opportunity to update the public about our operations here at the San Diego Convention Center. Good morning, I'm Todd Gloria, Mayor of the City of San Diego. I'm honored to be joined by a number of my friends in our work to reduce unsheltered population here in San Diego, starting with County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher, the Chair of the Board of Supervisors for the County of San Diego. Council President Pro Tem and Council District 3 Representative, Councilmember Stephen Whitburn. Stephen, thanks for being here. Rick Gentry, President and CEO of the San Diego Housing Commission. Tamara Kohler, CEO of the Regional Task Force on the Homeless. Deacon Jim Vargas, President and CEO of Father Joe's Villages. And last but not least, our host, our landlord, Rip Ripito, President and CEO of the San Diego Convention Center Corporation. Thank you all for being here with us today. Back in December, I announced that the Operation Shelter to Home would be extended through the end of March. And today we're here to lay out the plan to demobilize this life-saving operation and to transition into the next phase of our work to address homelessness in San Diego. Operation Shelter to Home was launched on April 1st of 2020 and as an emergency response to the realities of COVID-19. Not only did this effort protect thousands of unsheltered San Diegans during the past year, it also represented an opportunity to fine-tune our efforts to connect people experiencing homelessness to services and to housing. In the 11 months of Operation Shelter to Home, we have served over 4,000 individuals and helped more than 1,200 of them find permanent homes. That is an incredible effort, and now it is time to move forward. Tomorrow, we are scheduled to administer second doses of the COVID-19 vaccine to shelter residents who are age 65 or older. And Chairman Fletcher will give additional information about vaccines in a moment. Working with the county, the Housing Commission, and service providers, the city has reconfigured our shelters to comply with public health guidelines. We are not letting up on our emergency response. But during the week of March 22nd, we will take a phased approach as we transition the residents here at the Convention Center to several shelters in our city system. Alpha Project will operate 2 shelters, one at 17th and Imperial and another at 16th and Newton for single adults, both men and women. Father Joe's Villages will operate at Golden Hall. The upper level will be for families and transition age youth, and the lower level will serve adult males only. Some people will also be transitioned to open beds at Father Joe's Paul Mirabel Center, Path Connections, and the recently opened Father Joe Bishop's Women's Shelter. Let me be clear. No one at the Convention Center will be forced back onto the streets. Shelter residents have been notified of this, and their service provider staff will work with them in the coming weeks to identify the best option for them. We will continue to prioritize the health of the residents and of our staff, and we will continue to connect as many people as possible to permanent homes. The Housing Commission has worked nonstop to identify more housing options, such as additional hotels, with the potential to provide hundreds of safe new homes with supportive services. And in the coming weeks, I look forward to sharing the details on new initiatives and programs that will change the status quo even more for responding to homelessness in San Diego. A critically important piece of this will be how we reach out to unsheltered neighbors in a way that is built on trust and on relationship building. The lessons from Operation Shelter to Home, they have taught us to work and will help guide us into our work into the future. The list of folks who have made this operation successful is long, and I'll ask for your indulgence because these folks have worked extremely hard. You heard me say over 4,000 folks served, over 1,200 matched with permanent housing options. This is no accident. This is the purposeful work of many partners coming together over the last year to get this job done. It starts with the County of San Diego and its new leadership under Chairman Nathan Fletcher, all of the public health nurses and mental health professionals who've worked on this site. And in particular, if I may, I'm sure Chairman Fletcher will make his own comments, but I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Lou Gellerin and Matt Brown, who have been this operations medical and health liaisons for the past year. I want to shout out to Rick Gentry and the team from the Housing Commission who have done an incredible job housing so many of these individuals. Tamara Kohler and her team at the Regional Task Force on the Homeless. My Chief of Homelessness Strategies, Keely Halsey, and her team, often unsung heroes of this. And Keely, thank you for what you've done here. the San Diego Police Department, the Fire Rescue Department, and our lifeguard teams. And in particular, I want to especially call out Deputy Fire Chief Chris Heiser, who has served as the incident commander overseeing this entire operation. And I want to point out that he has done this while simultaneously helping to organize our city's vaccination efforts at the municipal gym in Balboa Park and across our city. Chief Heiser, you have done an incredible job for your city. I'm so deeply grateful for all that you've done. Thank you, sir. He does deserve special applause. Our core shelter service providers also have been critical. Deacon Jim Vargas and the team at Father Joe's Villages, Bob McElroy at Alpha Project. Bob could not make it here today, but I want to thank Jesse Miller, who has been critical to leading the Alpha Project team. And our hosts, as I mentioned, Rip Ripito and the San Diego Convention Center Corporation, who have managed to do this at an unprecedented time for your industry. And while you're advocating for the needs of events and tourism and all of that, you've also been an incredible landlord host, and I appreciate it, as well as Centerplate, who has served nutritious meals every single day and done an exceptional job. Thank you, Centerplate. And last but not certainly least, today is National Employee Appreciation Day, and I want to give my special appreciation to our city employees. These are park and recreation workers, library workers, fleet services workers, special events, and other members of our city family who have pivoted from their usual jobs and have been here on site day after day after day, getting those numbers that I mentioned to you before, doing this in a way that provided safety, security, and permanent options for so many. To our city employees, thank you for what you all do. Today may be the day that we acknowledge it, but we need to thank you every single day for what you do to serve our city. It can't be overstated that everyone here, from different agencies, different backgrounds, and different skill sets, have truly pulled together in an extraordinary way during one of our most challenging times. It gives us a template for what this city can do when we truly commit ourselves to ending chronic homelessness. I want to see a lot more of this from this community in the weeks, months, and years ahead. With that, my partner in this effort was next up to speak. Pleasure to introduce to you all Chairman of our County Board of Supervisors, my friend Nathan Fletcher. Chairman Fletcher.
Thank you, Mayor Gloria, and thank you everyone who is here with us today. This has been a collaborative effort. It's been city, county, convention center, Housing Commission, our nonprofit service providers, everyone coming together to try and meet the critical need in the situation we face. And we need that same energy to continue as we continue to try to tackle the underlying conditions that create the challenge of the unsheltered, and continue to have our county step up, continue to work in partnership with our city, with all of the folks who do this job day in and day out, to try and take the momentum and energy that comes out of this and apply it, continue to apply it to the structural challenges we face. To Rip and the Convention Center team, you know, the San Diego Convention Center showcases to the world all that is great about San Diego. On a daily basis, people come from all over the world into this building, and they're exposed to everything our community represents and stands for. And in this endeavor, the Convention Center has shown all of San Diego the compassion and empathy and willingness to do things at a speed that when we started this a year ago were unprecedented, to try and pull together to respond to a global pandemic. And I appreciate tremendously all of the folks Mayor Gloria outlined that have worked so hard and worked so fast in the early days to try and provide a safe and compassionate environment to care for those who are moving forward. And as we transition out of this being a location to house the unsheltered, I'm excited about what we're exploring to transition into this becoming a site for vaccinations. I think there is tremendous capacity that we can do. There is tremendous convenience, ease of a lot of options that we have, and so we're going to work with the team here about how we can do that as we look ahead to the days, the exciting days of significant increases in supply. We'll have to increase even more our ability to administer, and I believe the Convention Center can play a role there. I also think next week we plan to receive the J&J vaccination, a single dose shot. As a county, we will be prioritizing that vaccine for our unsheltered. It is easier to administer, it can get done quicker, and so we will work not only here with the folks here, but throughout our region to make sure that our unsheltered, our homebound seniors, our farm workers, those that are hardest to reach, have access to the vaccine that is quickest to take effect with the single shot, and we'll continue to work on transitioning that as well. But I do believe that San Diegans can take a measure of pride in the work that's been done here. Again, tremendous compliments to the city, Mayor Gloria, Housing Commission, all of our partners, the Regional Task Force on Homeless, who moved very swiftly to respond to an unprecedented situation, and I think have done a great service. As we enter the next phase of moving forward, we know that we still have a lot of work to do. And I am committed, as chair of the County Board of Supervisors, to working alongside Mayor Gloria, Regional Task Force, Rick, and everyone, all of our service providers, to make sure we continue to do more. We have to better utilize funds that are out there. We have to provide more care coordination. We have to provide more permanent supportive housing, more behavioral health services. As a county, I've called for the creation of a Department of Homeless Solutions and Equitable Things, so we have institutional capacity to be able to focus and partner with all of those folks that exist in these other entities who focus on this project. And so I'm pleased we were able to contribute as a county several $1 million here, about $5 million for the services for individuals who went into permanent supportive housing. But I know that we must do more and we must do better as a county, be a better partner, a better ally, and be more engaged in what we're doing, and we're committed to trying to do that. So incredibly pleased to join you, Mr. Mayor, and appreciate your new energy and commitment to these issues, and I'm really looking ahead and forward to where we can go as a region and all the opportunities in front of us. So thank you very, very much for having me join you.
Thank you. I think I'm supposed to MC this, but we're going to be expeditious because the sun is out and you got other things to do with your day. So we'll hear from Rick Gentry, then we'll be followed by Tamara Kohler, and Deacon Jim Vargas, and then Rip Ripito. So we'll go in that order, and you don't need introductions from me. You know who they are. Rick, thank you for what you've done. Why don't you say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor Gloria. This is an important transition to the next stage of addressing homelessness amid COVID-19. Many organizations and individuals in the community quickly united at a time of crisis to make Operation Shelter to Home a reality. That shared commitment remains almost a year later. The San Diego Housing Commission looks forward to continuing the collaboration and coordination that has made this initiative successful. Protecting the health of this population and helping them on their path to permanent housing remain key objectives. That is why the City and Housing Commission have worked together with service providers and with input from county public health officials to make sure the city's shelters are reconfigured. This will allow enough physical distance between shelter residents once they're back in those shelters. And with safer distances in place, the shelters will continue to help as many people as is possible. An important part of Operation Shelter to Home is the Housing Navigation Team, led by Housing Commission staff under the wonderful leadership of Lisa Jones, standing right over here, Executive VP of the Housing Commission. This team has helped more than 1,270 individuals move into permanent and longer-term housing in less than a year. That's 1,270 individuals in less than a year. And the team will continue as essential work to help additional residents of the city's shelter system going forward. Operation Shelter to Home has demonstrated what we can accomplish to address homelessness in San Diego. The organizations working together here implemented new approaches that placed a stronger focus on the individuals themselves being served. They have proved successful and will now become part of the city's homelessness crisis response system going forward. A commitment to continually finding ways to make the system better was an important part of this program's success, and that focus will continue. Thanks to you, Mayor Gloria, for your leadership and commitment to addressing homelessness. My thanks also to Supervisor Fletcher and the County of San Diego for the public health resources that created a healthy environment here at the Convention Center. I also want to acknowledge Councilmember Whitburn and his council colleagues for their support of this initiative and the city's homelessness programs and services. The Regional Task Force on the Homeless and its CEO, Tamara Kohler, also here today, are crucial to the success of efforts like this one. Thank you, Tamara, very much. Operation Shelter to Home would not have been possible also, obviously, without the Convention Center itself. And thank you as well to Rip Ripto, and his wonderful team here at the Convention Center for their great work. I also commend and thank Father Joe's Villages and Alpha Project for all that they have accomplished here and for the vital services that they continue to provide at other shelter sites. Finally, my thanks to the Housing Commission's Board of Commissioners and the Housing Commission's outstanding staff who made this work. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mayor Gloria, and it's still morning, so good morning. I want to start by acknowledging all the people who came to the Convention Center to keep themselves and their neighbors safe during this very scary time. It isn't always easy for someone who is unsheltered, unhoused, to move into an unknown and potentially uncomfortable living situation. The fact that they all decided to come here was the first step towards Operation Shelter to Homes being successful. This planned housing approach that we launched here was successful because it was a planned approach. It was anchored in pulling together the largest centralized group of coordinated services in our region's history. I want to thank and recognize the fantastic teams and people that made it possible. But I think in the interest of time, and Mayor Gloria did such a great job, I'm just going to say ditto. And I have to say it takes a team to make this work. I think of all of these organizations, and it truly is your teams that brought this work together, and I'm honored to stand side by side with you. Our goal was a public health response, and we worked hard to keep infection rates low and house people. To truly end homelessness in San Diego County, we will take the lessons that we've learned here and extend them throughout the entire region. An important lesson learned is the connection between healthcare and homeless systems. It's been a challenge for some time, we've known that, but the pandemic has shown light on it that much work needs to be done. We need to improve how a person navigates between those two systems. Here at the Convention Center, it was relatively easy to connect someone to the healthcare services they needed. It is much more difficult and complex out on the streets. That's why the Regional Task Force has created a committee to study the connections and make recommendations to both systems. I cannot understate. We know that we are most safe and most healthy when we are home, when we are housed. Housing affects health. We've seen it here, having a roof over people and having access to vital services, what that can do for people. We'll remain focused on housing, using all of the housing options as a central guiding purpose, with the needed supports as we continue to move forward in the work. We are fortunate to have the political will in our region. So rare in this work is to have so many elected officials, public servants coming together with a singular purpose that they understand and that they can voice. Leaders like Mayor Gloria, Supervisor Fletcher, Councilmember Whitburn, Rick from the Housing Commission, and so many others that are going to build and get housing and the supports that are needed to really reduce the numbers experiencing homelessness. I firmly believe that we are on the right course, on a good path to ending homelessness in San Diego, and I continue to look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I want to also echo all the thank yous that Mayor Gloria shared with you as well. And in the interest of time, I won't go through those. But the accomplishments here at the Convention Center, these shelter beds cannot be overstated. What this has allowed us to do as a community is to reduce the density in other shelters, other existing shelters that by their very nature are fairly dense because we want to get as many people off the streets as possible, right? So it's allowed us to reduce the density there. It's allowed us to also bring additional people off the streets, all in a very safe way, in a safe environment, following all the protocols, such as mask wearing and making sure that everything is sanitized, making sure there's distancing. It has served us extremely well. But it's one thing just to get people off the streets and provide a roof over their heads and meals, and that's extremely important. But most importantly have been the comprehensive services that have been provided to each and every single one of the individuals who we've been blessed to serve here at the Convention Center. That's allowed us to help people into other programs as well as permanent housing. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Because shelters are fine, as a temporary gap stop, but a shelter is not a home. And we know that at the end of the day, our goal is to help these individuals into permanent housing. And that's what we've been able to do here. And we look forward to continuing those efforts. For Father Joe's Villages, it'll be at Golden Hall. Alpha Project will also be at other bridge shelters. At Golden Hall, we're blessed to be able to serve over 525 individuals, as Mayor Gloria described, and both the second and the first levels. It's an increase to what we had pre-COVID. We're especially pleased about being able and excited about being able to provide shelter for families, and we'll have shelters there as well as additional shelter beds at the Paul Mirabile Center and the Bishop Morris Center, as the mayor mentioned as well. So the key here is to continue the efforts. It's wonderful. This has worked marvelously well as because of all the effort that has been placed into it. But most importantly, we need to continue those efforts now for the going forward. There's a lot more work to be done, getting people off the streets and helping them to self-sufficiency. God bless you.
Good morning. I'm Rip Ripito, President and CEO here at the Convention Center, and our team and I are honored to stand here with all of you today. So thank you for including us in this. And with the last 11 months, we have seen a continuous activity that is rare. We've observed this Operation Shelter to Home from a space where it seems to be, from our records, the longest running effort of anything that's ever been done inside exhibit halls. And so it's with a lot of pride that we're able to stand here today with all of these wonderful organizations. And of course, it's different from the usual activity that we have here on a regular basis, and it takes place in a space that is generally reserved for trade shows and conventions and a lot of other kind of activity. But this 24/7 emergency shelter operation has required teamwork and communication across so many lines, and it's been really refreshing as we've been able to work with all of these wonderful partners. And I want to take a minute to thank our in-house partners as well. So to our friends at Smart City, our technology provider, our friends at our AV provider on site, and certainly Centerplate, who has served over 1 million meals in support of this operation over the past 11 months, 3 times a day. In a large part due to the experience and what we've gone through and the training involved for this effort, our center team has received multiple accreditations that helps us prepare for opening when it's time for us to resume what we do on a normal basis. We've got safety protocols in place. We've got guidelines that have been developed. We've been working in concert with the city and the county on those. And at this time, we don't know exactly when we're going to be able to get the approved guidance from the state in order for us to open and host events again and return to our primary purpose of being an economic generator. But when it's time, know that we will be ready. We will be able to reopen safely. We'll be able to reopen carefully, and we'll be able to open confidently. And I often say to our convention center employees, and it's not lost on me, Mayor, what today is with the appreciation, as we look at our team, I've often said that we could parachute drop our team into any venue in the country and we'd make it better that day. But that's not what we want to do. We aren't even thinking about that. We want to make this a better place every day. And by being able to be part of this opportunity and work with the leaders here and this community groups across the region, it's only strengthened our resolve and strengthened our pride in the San Diego community. I commend the leadership with the city and the county, mayor, to Chair Fletcher, Councilmember Whitburn, all the other council members, the Port of San Diego, all of the people involved with all the different organizations. Thank you very much. And finally, I'd like to just close by saying to all of the San Diegans who have spent time here in the building over this past 11 months, we think of you. We are happy that we could be a host. We are proud to be in concert and stepping forward with you. And just know we value you, we respect you, and we wish you health and happiness into the future. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Rip. This brings us to the end of the program. I just want to do three quick things, and then we'll break and be happy to answer any questions that folks have, happily answer any questions that folks may have. Number one, I want to thank Stephen Whitburn, Councilmember Whitburn, who's here. He's passing up the opportunity to be on the mic because he likes to get things done. Less talk, more do. That's Stephen Whitburn. Thank you so much, Councilmember, for being here. We're in his city council district. It's hard to house 1,000 homeless people at any one time in any council district. D3 always steps up, and it's because of the leadership of council members like Stephen Whitburn. So, Stephen, thank you very much. Second, I want to repeat, reiterate, underline, bold, double exclamation point, my appreciation to the folks who made this possible, who did the work over the last year to make this a success. These are folks who didn't spend the pandemic on the couch at home watching Netflix. They were here day after day after day, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving holiday, on site year round. They weren't tweeting about the homeless. They were helping the homeless. And I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for what you have done for your city and for your region. And lastly, to the shelter, to the folks who've lived here or who have lived here, I want to thank you for stepping up, for showing the courage that Tamara was talking about, to thank you for stepping up and showing the courage to accept help, to come off the streets, to get services, to get housed, and get on a path towards self-reliance. I'm proud of you. And the challenge for our community is to make sure that everyone who exhibits that level of courage, that we have a bed for them, we have a home for them, we have a plan for them, and that we can serve them. We're not there yet, but our goal is to get there and to get there quickly. This operation over the last year makes that a lot more likely. And again, I appreciate everyone who's been a part of this success. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for helping get this word out. And again, any of us would be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.